Afternoon, everyone. We'll call to order the City of Murfreesboro Board of Zoning Appeals, a regular meeting for April 23rd, 2025. First item on our agenda is a determination of a quorum, and with 4 of the 5 members of the board present, we do have a quorum today. Next item is public comment section. Has anyone reached out to the staff to?
We have not had anyone reach out, Chair Young.
Okay. Next, we'll move to the consideration of the minutes from our regular meeting on March 26, 2025. Those minutes were provided to the board members. If there are any changes necessary to those, or if not, we'll take a motion to approve those.
I so move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. You call the roll for us.
Mr. Batchelor?
Aye.
Mr. Tips?
Aye.
Vice Chair Halliburton?
Aye.
Chair Young?
Aye. All right, so those minutes have been approved. Now we'll move to new business. We have 2 special use permit requests today. First is application Z25005 by Bridget Hill, requesting a special use permit in order to establish a home occupation, in this case a pediatric occupational therapy business, in a single-family residential RS-15 zone. This is for property located at 1648 Earl Court. Mr. Donovan, if you review this application for us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair Young. So the applicant, Ms. Hill, is requesting a special use permit for a home-based business to provide pediatric occupational therapy services out of her home at 1648 Earl Court. This is located just north of DeJarnette Lane, right in behind John Pittnard Elementary School. The property is zoned RS-15, and since the proposed use of a pediatric occupational therapy service will generate traffic, that's the reason it's before the board today. Typically, home occupations are approved across the counter unless they generate trips to the site, which this meets that standard. So the applicant has proposed the use out of her residency, and she will primarily be using the rear of the property, the backyard of the property, to provide her occupational therapy. During inclement weather portions, there will be about 132 square feet within the house, and there is a floor plan that the applicant has provided to us. And she is using approximately 132 square feet in the dining room of the existing residence when the inclement weather prohibits her from being outside with her patients. So the applicant is requesting to run the business indefinitely as long as she owns the residence, and the proposed hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. All clients will come based on an appointment, which is standard when we have home-based businesses that are going to generate traffic. It'll be appointment-based only, which this body has approved for other applicants in the past. The applicant is requesting no more than 4 clients per day visit the site, and each session will last between 30 and 90 minutes. So there's ample time in that time frame they're giving us to provide those services with 4 appointments today. The applicant, parent, and the patient will be present during each session, and all of those sessions are one-on-one. There's no group component to this. It'll be the therapist and then the clients at the site. The driveway for the site is approximately 20 by 42, which is an adequate space to accommodate 2 additional automobiles in addition to 2 personal vehicles. The applicant stated on the application that there will actually be 3 there, as she anticipates there being an extra space in the driveway typically for her clients to use as well. So, as I mentioned earlier, the applicant will be using the backyard primarily, but there is space within the dining room 11 by 12 area for them to use during inclement weather. The total residence is approximately 2,400 square feet, which is 5.5% of the residence, and we have the standard that it remain less than 20% of the residence. So no changes are being made to the exterior or the interior of the residence or of the property, and Ms. Hill will be the only employee of the home-based business. Staff has reviewed the application, and it is generally in good order. Staff is recommending approval of the application with 6 conditions. Condition 1 is customers shall visit by appointment only. Number 2 is no more than 1 customer shall visit the home-based business, and there shall be no overlapping customer appointments. The home-based business hours of operation shall be Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and all parking associated with the home-based business shall be on the driveway of the subject property. And 5, the applicant shall include a signed copy of the BZA approval with the business license application material. And number 6 is the special use permit shall lapse upon sale or transfer of the property or when the applicant ceases to reside there. I'm available for any questions, and Ms. Hill is here as well.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
I've got one question about being that this is a health occupation. Are they required? I assume she's licensed by the state to practice there, and does the state have to approve this home site occupation or business?
So I'm not aware of any licensure that the state would require for her to have to operate there. I would leave Ms. Hill to discuss her
Okay.
license and credentials as an occupational therapist.
And maybe she may need to address this piece too. Is there anything, when she can be outside, is there any special equipment that's outside or other than swing sets and jungle gyms and whatever a normal backyard would have?
Yeah, and that's what she's indicated to us is the part of, and I asked her to kind of briefly explain occupational therapy because when she met with me, she had to explain it to me. But yeah, what she's indicated to us is she's going to be using the same playground equipment, picnic tables, all the things that you would expect to see in a normal backyard with children.
Okay. Any further questions for staff? All right, Ms. Hill, anything you'd like to add if you come to the podium for us?
Yes, hi. So at a place like Special Kids, which you might be familiar with, the therapy happens in a gym. And what I want to do is nature-based therapy, so using nature as part of the sensory experience for children and playing in sandboxes and the slides, the garden that I have already on my property, using those experiences to be a therapeutic experience while I work on the skills that I'm working on with children. I work with children with autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, ADHD, and sensory processing disorder, and general developmental delay. So having them to be able to work on the skills they need to while being outside, there's a lot of research that's coming out more and more as this being beneficial to children. And any special equipment will normally just look like what you play with outside. Because obstacle courses is another thing therapists often do inside, which that lends itself even more outside type of material that you just move around. The only thing that might look slightly different is some type of special swings I might hang on my swing set. That would be more that you would see in a therapy department, but again, very look fun and kids would just want to play with it. So does that help answer your question? And then I am licensed by the state, and the state doesn't have any special requirements for a therapy department. Because one thing, therapists sometimes go to people's homes and work with them in their homes and all different settings in the community. So you don't have to have a special, not like a daycare type of situation.
Right. Okay. Well, one thing that you mentioned, both of you mentioned when you started talking about equipment, it made me kind of think also that I know when the city or the schools or anyone like that has playground equipment, it's got to be a certain quality. It's got to be a certain standard. I don't know whether what you're going to have meets that standard, as far as you've got kids there, and that opens up the question about if that equipment's not, a suitable quality, it could cause an accident. And I guess that also brings about the liability issue, what type of liability insurance coverage you've got.
Yes, I do have liability insurance for my facility, separate from my professional insurance.
Okay. But could you answer the quality of the equipment?
I think it's of good quality. When we had a storm come a couple years ago, we had the playground equipment place that's in Franklin come and reinforce it and look and check all the wood to make sure that and replace anything that needed to, so it's a very stable, and it's something I would definitely be watching out for safety for the children.
Okay.
Any further questions? Thank you, Ms. Hill. At this time, we'll conduct a public hearing. If there's anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application, if you'd come forward to the podium and provide us any comments you may have. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and open the floor for any further discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve pending staff comments.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, will you call the roll for us?
Mr. Batchelor?
Aye.
Mr. Tips?
Aye.
Vice Chair Halliburton?
Aye.
Chair Young?
Aye. All right, thank you. That application's been approved. Next, we'll move to application Z25006 by John and Alice Duva, requesting a special use permit in order to construct and establish an accessory apartment in a single-family residential RS-15 zone. This is for property located at 3251 Park Hill Road. Ms. Lewis, if you'd review this for us.
Yeah, good afternoon, thank you. The applicants, John and Alice Duva, are requesting a special use permit to construct and establish an accessory apartment at their residence at 3251 Park Hill Road. The accessory apartment will be for the applicants to age in place, and their son and his family will reside upstairs of the principal structure. The accessory apartment will be located on the basement level of the principal structure, and the property is zoned RS-15 and is in the Windsor Green single-family residential subdivision. As depicted in the application site plan, the proposed floor area of the accessory apartment is 690.3 square feet, and that includes a kitchen, living room, bedroom, bathroom, and a walk-in closet. The accessory apartment has two existing exterior entrances on the back side of the house, and it is also accessible from the garage and the stairs up to the first floor of the principal structure. The proposed accessory apartment is integrated into the overall design of the home, and it is not noticeable from the outside. And as proposed, the accessory apartment complies with the applicable bulk development standards for an RS-15 lot. In addition, it is recommended that the applicant be required to complete and record the standard restriction on use of land document prepared by the city attorney. This document states that the accessory apartment can only be occupied by a family member or an invited guest and cannot be used as a rental unit, and recording it memorializes it to put any future buyers or owners on notice of that. There will be no changes to the utility facilities at the subject area, and the structure will have adequate parking on site, and the traffic conditions will remain the same. The proposed use will not have any effect on the safety and general welfare of the neighborhood or any adverse effect on the character of the neighborhood, as it's integrated into the overall design of the principal structure. And the proposed accessory apartment is not to be a rental unit, and it's only used for family, not to create any extra traffic. The proposed accessory apartment will be served adequately by already existing public facilities, and staff also believes that the following additional standards for accessory apartment uses have been met, and the applicant has confirmed that this will be the only accessory apartment at the subject property. The applicant has also confirmed that the owners, John and Alice Duva, will reside on the property, and they will live in the accessory apartment located on the basement level, and family members will reside in the rest of the house. And the applicants have agreed to record the restriction on use of land document that is recommended by the planning department for all accessory apartments. And as depicted on the current plans, the design is compliant with the minimum development bulk standards, and the entrances for the are in the rear of the house and already existing. If the accessory apartment use was discontinued or the special use permit is to lapse, the accessory apartment can be integrated and utilized with the rest of the principal structure, and the accessory apartment will only be 690.3 square feet as to not exceed the 700 square foot floor area maximum. And if approved, the applicant is required to obtain all necessary building permits to construct the accessory apartment. And the applicant understands that there may be additional standards met by the BZA to ensure compatibility. Staff does recommend approval of this special use permit based on the request meeting the development standards of the ordinance to allow the 690.3 square foot accessory apartment as presented in the application documents with the following 3 conditions. Condition 1, the owners of the property for this accessory apartment shall occupy at least one of the dwelling units on the premises, and only family members or invited guests shall occupy the other dwelling unit, and it shall not be rented in any circumstance. Condition 2, prior to applying for building permits, the applicant shall complete and record the restriction on use of land document prepared by the city attorney, which shall limit the accessory apartment to only what is allowed by the zoning ordinance. And condition 3, the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits with the Building and Codes Department and shall comply with all code requirements. I am here if you have any questions, and the applicants are as well.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Lewis at this point? Thank you. Mr. Mistuba, anything you would like to add?
None at this time, thanks.
Have any questions for the applicants? All right. This time we'll conduct a public hearing. If there's anyone present wishing to speak for or against this application, if you'd come forward. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and open the floor for any further discussion or motion.
I make a motion to approve the application, including the conditions outlined, the 3 conditions outlined that's recommended by staff.
And I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments? If you'd call the roll for us.
Mr. Batchelor?
Aye.
Mr. Tips?
Aye.
Vice Chair Halliburton?
Aye.
Chair Young?
Aye. All right, that application's been approved. Appreciate everybody's work on it. Next item, staff reports and other business.
I do not have anything for you, Chair Young.
All right. Appreciate everybody's work on everything. But if no other business, we will adjourn.